Hello, back again to do another unboxing and review. Today I got in an item that I bought actually pretty recently. It got overseas quite quick. I was surprised. But that's all the better. So it's here and we're going to take a look at it. This is the Multi-function Emergency Weather Radio. It is a NOAA weather radio and it has considerable other functions it can do besides just being a radio, and hence the whole multi-function. And we're going to see what all those functions are and how well it can do those functions. This, as I said, has been imported. It comes from a brand, and I'm going to see if I get my pronunciation right on this. It comes from a company called Hsjia, and it is model number HS290. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and scroll the literature and the specs that I got when I decided to purchase this. I printed them out, as always, on a big piece of paper here, and we're going to go ahead and I'll scroll it by the camera, and you can take a look and pause if you need to, but I'll scroll it slow enough that you shouldn't have to, but here it goes. Alright, so this is what the seller had as the highlights. I pretty much took it, copied and pasted it. However, I did go ahead and take out some of the things that were redundant and cleaned up some of the spelling and whatnot. But so otherwise, this is pretty much exactly what you would see when you decided to purchase it if you got it from the seller that I did. And then at the bottom, this is kind of important here. Okay. Alright, so now let's go look around the packaging. You've already seen the front there. Go into this side, you can see they have another diagram, this time with the main LED light swung up. And it shows you that there's apparently another LED on the other side. Also, it has what each knob pretty much does. So there you go, that's helpful. Here we have in icon form some of the features. Again, real self-explanatory. On this side we have an abbreviated spec sheet, but it looks like some of the important specs are there. Always helpful. And then on this side, I like how they, some of these icons you saw on the previous over here, but here they're showing you how there's 4 ways you can charge this device. And again, you can see by just a quick glance how that can be done. 4 options. Always good to have options. Alright, and then on the back, it's just nothing on that side. Okay. Alright, so overall impressions of the packaging, I like it. I'll be the first to admit, it is not an attention-grabbing box. However, what it lacks in pizzazz, it makes up for in clear, concise conveying of information. Every side of this box, except the back here facing away from the camera, every other side of this box has either a picture or information about the item, and that's appreciated. One other thing I'd like to point out, especially since this comes from overseas, is the welcome but surprising lack of grammatical errors. Yes, it's funny to read them and and do the whole lost in translation deal, but after the laughing's done, you have that nagging feeling of, well, if they can't even write that sentence correctly, maybe the quality of this item isn't very good. So I think sometimes getting this, run it through grammar check, maybe getting a native speaker in, or at least double checking it before you send it out, I think actually really helps build customer confidence in your item. So here we go. But without further ado, let's get to the unboxing. Alright, so first of all, the box isn't sealed, it's just folded. Box is pretty sturdy though, so that's good. Alright, so let's dig in there. And right away, there's the item. It has a plastic frame, so it doesn't jiggle around in there. Pull him out for a minute. Actually, I'll just pull out this whole tray. Okay, so I picked up the tray with the main item, and then below are our accessories. So let's take them out one by one here. So we have a charging cable, and it's normal USB to Type-C. Alright. Then what looks to be instructions. So you can see one side is Chinese, and then the other side, hold on. Oh, okay, yeah, so the other side's in English. So there's the English directions, and then same thing, but Chinese on that side. Okay, and as far there are some pictures. Okay. Okay. Then some bottom packing, just, alright. And then we have this. So, oh, okay, that's pretty cool. So this, I assume there's an eyelet on the device. You string that through. Then you have a quick release right there. So you can leave this, and then this detaches. We have a slide bead for adjustment. And then, well, yet another, push this, and this slides as well. So, yeah. Alright, and then here, I guess that's just the cap. Closes it off, so, okay, that's pretty cool. Alright, so I'll put this back in the box. And then, alright, let's get back to the main item here. So there it is. From what I can tell, at least the seller I went through, there was only one color choice, this kind of army green. I'm not sure if there are other color options, but this worked for me. So, okay, so take it out of the bag. All right, so there we are. Now, first thing I noticed is that this actually does have some heft to it. I was kind of afraid it would be like really light and kind of cheap feeling, but that isn't the case. This has some weight. Not to say it's super heavy or anything, but you'll definitely know you're holding it. So that's good. I was kind of worried about that, but it seems that we're on the right track. Okay, here we can see the main dial. We have the tuning knobs down here. So yeah, if you turn that, you move the needle, quote, quote, the needle. So yes, it's not a type in the channel, digital. It's this, but that's fine. It's all you really need, so that's okay. Then here we have the volume knob, which might serve as the power button. Haven't tried it out, just guessing. There's the switch between the AM/FM wide weather band, and you can see here they did include a little screen protector kind of covering this display. Here's the lift tab. I think I'll just keep it on there. Why not? All right, now we see a symbol for a battery, and you'll notice there's 4 little windows. So I'm assuming these are going to light up. LED, hopefully. Anyway, and so usually with ones where they have 4, the way it works is if there's 4 lights, you know it has anywhere from 100% to 75% charge. If there's only 3 lights, you know it has anywhere from 75% to 50%, etc. Okay, there's also a little tuning indicator, so perhaps when you land on the channel and it signals good, it might stay illuminated. And then also, I'd noticed before, but there's a little thing for solar, so you can see if you're actually getting enough sunlight to charge the device. Okay, now apparently that's not on right now. So okay, but this is artificial light here. So, all right, here we have. Okay, this is rubber. Oh, okay, so probably lift here. Oh, so you lift this rubber, which might be silicone, whatever, silicone rubber. This comes up, and then you have access to these ports. So here's your Type C female for charging the device, and then you see you have a USB female regular, so connect your phone charger or whatever in there, and you can use this as a power bank. The little gasket covering there sits pretty nice and snug, so it should stay closed. Yep. All right, moving on. This side here, this is I'm pretty sure this is where the AAA batteries go. Probably 1, 2, 3. It looks like I could probably just pull it up using my fingernail, but I'll read the directions in case there's some special way I need to open that. Don't want to break anything off. Okay, next up top, you can see here's the point for connecting your lanyard that was supplied. Antenna. Now to get this up, since there doesn't seem to be like any button to pop it up, I guess you just pull it up. And, okay, there we go. You can see the antenna does extend. It is metal. As you can imagine, it's especially this part is quite thin, so I would take care to close it straight and not bend it. As far as how it sits in there, you can see it sits quite flush, just a little bit of that protruding up, so it shouldn't be extended by accident, which is good. You don't want it to break. All right, up top we have a matte solar panel here. You can, and then a button which looks like it's to activate the LED. We'll get there in a bit. All right, on the back we have the crank, the dynamo. Oh boy, that's a familiar sound. Okay, yes, so and then you can see there's a little hole for the pivoting point that you hold with your fingers to make cranking even easier, and yes, it fits. Yep, doesn't fall out. Good, alright. Okay, so let's go to the bottom real quick. Nothing on the bottom. And then over here, there's our primary LED, which actually looks considerably better than I was expecting. Yeah, I'll look up, or when we test it out, we'll see. But the LED, the bead in there looks pretty. It looks better than I thought. So okay, and then it has a nice little reflector bowl. This piece here feels to be plastic, not glass. Okay, and then down here, there's a button. If you push that, this swings up. And from what I recall in the literature, this is also a light. And you can see it has instead of a clear lens, it has this diffuse, opaque lens, which should make it easier for soft light, so it doesn't, like if you're reading a map or whatever, it doesn't shine all the light, reflect all the light back up into your face. So that makes sense. And also, since there's nothing, this doesn't seem to like rotate or close off, that's a good sign that this is actually its own unique LEDs in here for this lamp, and this is a separate for the primary. Okay, so let's see something real quick. Yeah, so make sure you push this button in when you close it, and then release, and then it fits nice and tight. So far, the build quality, I'm actually surprised. It actually seems pretty robust. I don't know what kind of torture test they put this through, but just on the quick hands feel type test, it does seem to be, relatively sturdy, and I don't hear any really like rattles or anything like that. The handle stays in even when I shake it. The antenna doesn't come out on its own, and so far I'm pretty impressed by the build quality. I was just reading through the directions, and I happened to notice you can see the solar. There's an LED there, it's shining blue. That means it's actually charging. So apparently these lights in here are bright enough that if I get close, that actually starts to count as solar charging. Another thing, I was testing out the crank here. See if I can do this on camera. If you turn it at the right rate, there you go. So the device kind of helps you by telling you if you're turning it at the right rotations per minute by those LEDs. And you see, the better off I'm doing, the more LEDs I get. I'm trying to do this and not hit the camera at the same time. But yeah, so there is, I think it's 120 to 180 per minute is the rate you're supposed to turn this handle at. But anyway, you saw how it uses the LEDs to confirm that you are in fact charging it by using the crank. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and charge it up. To get it charged relatively quickly, I'm going to go ahead and connect it to the wall outlet and charge it up that way. And yeah, test it out. But so far, looking good. Alright, so I've had a chance to charge up the device. I did use the supplied USB-C cable, connected it right there, and the LEDs do illuminate in sequence, and as it gets more and more full, more and more of the LEDs stay lit. Alright, so now before we get to the light feature or the weather radio, I want to cover this as a power bank. Remember, that is one of the features. Now, it's important to understand, during my test of this as a power bank, I did not put in the 3 AAAs, so we're going solely with the battery that's integrated into this device when you receive it. As you saw on the spec sheet, that was one of these batteries here. If you're using one of those tactical flashlights, you've probably seen one of these. So this, by the way, did not come out of there, but this is an example of one of those batteries. So okay, now, so how did I test it out? Well, I went ahead and got my phone here. Well, this is one of my phones. This is the HomTom HT10. You may remember I did a review of this a little while back, well, actually quite a while back, and yes, I still have it. Anyway, so what I did is I went ahead and I was playing games on that until it was down to 0% battery, or it says 0. That's the point when the phone automatically turns itself off. You don't have a choice. It just shuts down. It tells you so, and then it goes off. So that's as close to 0 as I could get it. At which point, I went ahead and connected it to this as a power supply. I have a picture of that. I'll put it right here. Okay, so what was the result of that? So I'm going to go ahead and, yes, I did print out what I found on a piece of paper, and I'm going to scroll this by the camera. Alright, so I have here the HomTom HT10. This is the stated capacity of the battery inside, 3200 milliamps per hour. Now, I'm going from a full charge of the weatherband radio, so I charged the weatherband radio completely, and then I used it as a power supply, and using all the juice that was in the radio, it took the phone from 0% charge to 37% battery. This here is just kind of extra information. It just told me that going from the 100 to 75% capacity on the radio, that brought up the HomTom's charge up to 13%. Okay, that isn't so necessary. Anyway, here's where the take-homes are. So here we go. 37% of the HomTom's 3200 milliamps per hour ends up being 1184 milliamps per hour. That's how much was transferred to the phone. So now, if we come down here, this is how much that was transferred. This is how much the weatherband radio states it has to be used as a power supply, right? 2000. So if you take that, that means the radio uses 59.2% of the capacity to transfer to whatever device, in this case the phone. So with that being said, this is not a full-blown super power bank, okay? So don't expect it to charge your phone completely. But let's say you were in an emergency situation, if you decided to use everything, like you hadn't used this at all, and just said, I'm just going to use it for a phone charge, if you have a phone similar to this, you would get a 37% back. And maybe that would be enough to get you out of the woods or call for help or whatever. Okay. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and test out the flashlight and the lantern and all their associated modes. Now I'm going to go ahead and hit the power on this. I'm going to shine the beam at the door, which, as you know, is kind of a darker color, which is good because it'll soak up some of the light, but be warned, it's still going to be bright, okay? So I'm going ahead and push the button once. There is your primary, so that would, I guess, you call normal power. I push the button again. It steps up a notch to a higher power. Push it yet again, and we're going to get this, your distress, and it runs through the sequence, as you can see. Push the button yet again, and it turns off. Looking at the front here, we see 4 LEDs. Well, they turned off because I turned it off, but I'm assuming, I just charged this, by the way, so you saw all 4. I assume that as you use it and the battery goes lower, when you have flashlight mode, maybe only 3 would show, and 2 and 1, etc. Okay, so that covers the flashlight. Now let's look at the reading lamp. So to get that, again, the button underneath here, you push that, and then swing this open, and then use the same button as I did before. I'll just shine this at the floor here. And okay, so that is quite bright. You should more than be able to read any map or whatever you're looking at in the dark. Push it again, it steps up the brightness. Yep, and push it one more time, and it's off. Okay, so that's 3 modes for the flashlight, 2 modes for the lantern. Alright, so I'm kind of curious just how bright this thing is, so to help me figure that out, I got this device here. And essentially you shine the light at this target here, which is 2 centimeters diameter, and it gives you a reading. Now, this doesn't give me lumens, it gives me lux, L-U-X, so, but at least I can provide you that, and if you're really curious, you can do the conversion to get lumens. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and set this up. I'm going to test, let's see, the regular, all the things I'm going to test are going to be the primary flashlight. I'm going to do the normal and the high brightness mode. And so I'm going to set that up outside of here so I can get a little more distance between the device and the reader. And we'll see what I get. Alright, so here's the numbers I got. You can see I put 7 feet of distance between the detector and the device we're testing. Remember, the sensor on the detector is 2 centimeters in diameter. And then you can see for both the lux I got for both the normal and then the high power mode on the flashlight. So there you go. That should be enough to calculate lumens if you're interested. Alright, so let's go ahead and cover the primary feature that most people are going to be using when they get this, and that is, of course, the fact that it is a radio. So it's an AM, FM, and weather band radio. Now, I have tested all three. All three do work. I have the antenna here stretched out to its max length. Be cautious on this topmost section because it is quite thin, could easily get bent. Alright, so talking about reception, keep in mind I'm only a few miles outside of one of the main cities in my state, so like the metro area, so that might have something to do with the amount of signal I was able to pull in. Alright, so let's talk about the controls real quick. This switch here is a 3-position for the AM/FM weather band, and it has nice positive clicks. I'll just do one here so you can see, or here. So yeah, I see that's FM, and so yeah, it's easy to select. Now these two knobs here, volume obviously increases or decreases the volume. Also, when you turn the volume all the way down, it clicks, and that is your off for turning off the radio. Tune obviously moves the needle. You select a channel. Talking about selecting channels, there's a little LED here. It's right next to where it says TUN for tune, and that will illuminate a nice bright green when you land on a channel. Helps you zero in on the channel you're trying to find. Okay, now let's talk about the speaker. The speaker, as you can guess, is right here. If you look at an angle, you can kind of see where the sound comes out. So these bars pretty well do a good job of blocking the actual speaker hole. Keep in mind, I still would not be pouring water or fine sand in here because that could still get in there. And of course, I did not do that to this device. So, all right. Let's talk about the volume. It can get pretty loud. Definitely loud enough in the environment I'm in. But I would think even if you were in a louder environment, you should be able to increase the volume loud enough so you can hear it. And again, even if that isn't loud enough, which it really should be, but even if it isn't loud enough, you could always just hold this up to your ear. So, but I don't think you should need to do that. Okay, and so we covered that. Now, talking about the sound, I was going to demo the FM and the AM, but I can't do that because of obviously the copyright that would be involved if a song came on or whatnot. So I'll just tell you that those work. Now, as far as the weather band, I'll give you a little short clip of listening to the weather channel that I have selected using the weather band selection. So here you go.
So far today, the low temperature has been 34 degrees, which occurred at 6:38 a.m. No precipitation has fallen. No snow has...
Okay, so it does that. Now the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put in 3 AAA batteries in here. Keep in mind all the tests I've done up to now have been using just the integrated battery without any of the dry cells or AAAs installed. I'm just going to put the 3 AAAs in just to make sure they fit and whatnot. But the reason I demoed all these tests without the extra batteries is because I want to see how this performs with what it came with. Alright, so as far as the adding the extra batteries, the dry cells, or the AAAs in this case, they're located in here. If this is where you're going to put them, this shell here can be removed, this cover. You can see that there is a little spot right there for putting in a thumbnail or other fingernail. There's one on the other side there. You just have to basically dig it in and pry it off. There's really no fancy way of doing it. You just pull it off, and then that's where you can put the 3 AAA batteries. So I'm just going to take these out just to show you. So you have your, typical what you'd expect. You have the positive, the negatives, and then you can also see that they have the plates going there. And the reason I'm showing you this is because I just want to demonstrate that this isn't just a place to hold some AAA batteries like a storage compartment. Apparently the AAA batteries actually they're connected to the circuitry inside here. Now let's talk about power prioritization. I'm not sure if this device is going to use the rechargeable battery that's integrated and then go to these AAAs, or do the AAAs first and then when these die go over there. I actually haven't tested that because, like I said, I've been using the integrated battery up to this point. Alright, so before we get to the conclusion, I just want to go over a couple disclaimers. The first is that I have only used this to basically do the review. So I have not taken it out camping. It has not fallen onto a rock, rolled into a creek, none of that, okay? But what I can tell you about durability is that this is made out of some sturdy materials. It's actually way more sturdy than I thought it would be. The only two spots where I think it's actually quite fragile and you need special attention, I'll point out. The first is this antenna. The other area that's fragile is this. This is just a piece of plastic, a clear piece of plastic. It is not glass. It is not tempered glass. It is not Gorilla Glass. So if you smack this into a tree, this clear plastic could easily break out, maybe even damage the reflector cup. So yeah, take a little care with that. But other than that, it seems to be kind of quite robust. And the crank handle, when you're cranking it, make sure that you don't get over exuberant and snap it off. But it seems to be standard durability on that. So, okay, now kind of a related topic. How long will it last? Can I use this for 5 years or whatever? I don't know. So far, it's been working. Again, I've had a short time with it so far, but nothing seems to be inherently ready to break. So, all right, moving on. Let's talk about the battery life. I've done the one how much we can charge the smartphone by just using the integrated battery. But beyond that, how long can you use the radio before it dies? I don't know. But what I can tell you is that if you charge it using the DC in, so connect it, Type-C cable, charge it up, plug it into the wall, right? That takes a few hours to get it charged. Then you'll have a full charge integrated battery. You throw in the 3 AAAs, which don't really add that much to the weight, so there's nothing lost by doing that. And you head out. Now you have a fully charged device, and you can use the solar panel and the crank back here to keep the battery topped off. Right? If you use that, you shouldn't have any concern about batteries. I wouldn't recommend running the thing dry and then having to depend on the solar panel or the crank to bring it back up to full charge, because you'll be sitting there a while waiting, or you'll be spinning this handle like a madman. So yeah, use these to top off. You should be good. And okay, so let's go ahead and get to the what I recommended or not. This is easy. Yeah, of course. This is actually, the unit's better than I expected. And for the price, I've seen weather radios that are just weather radios go for the same price. And this, you get all the extra features. So that's kind of a simple choice. More features for the same money. Okay, now we're talking about money. So how much does this cost? As always, it depends who you get it from and where you get it from. However, I can tell you I've seen this ranged let's talk reasonable prices. I've seen this range from $50 all the way down to like the high 20s. So anywhere within there, I think you're getting a decent deal. I would try to shoot for the 30s or high 20s. After all, it also helps if you maybe buy more than one unit. Of course, as you know, the price per unit goes down. Okay, so so far I'm liking it. Now I'm actually going to include this in my little emergency pack. So that must mean I like it enough to put it in there. So yeah.